Right, so really getting there now. Bonds of Friendship. The Chadley's challenge that is fabled to be pretty much the hardest of all challenges in Rebirth. Even though it's not the ultimate one, it is the penultimate one. But yes, it is not easy at all. And yeah, what I've managed to do is put together a guide that works very well for me. It fits my playstyle absolutely perfectly. Obviously, the only person I need to introduce in terms of setup is Cloud, because it's going to be Cloud and Zack. And as you can see, I've got on him the Gotterdammerung. So we have got that, and that is useful. There was a debate in my mind whether to use the Gotterdammerung or the Enhanced Expeditionary Medal, just because obviously it's nice to start every battle with your final limit break, finishing touch. But I actually think that Ascension, his second limit break, is fine. Sometimes we get as far as his third limit break, but in most fights, all you need to do is one synergy ability with Zack and Cloud, and he's already got a pretty good limit. So actually, Gotterdammerung is my preference, and you build up limit much quicker as well with the Gotterdammerung, hence that being my choice. So that's in terms of equipment, that's kind of all there is to say. The Cetra Embracer is absolutely amazing, really, really good defense, and as you can see, an absolute ton for materia and all linked slots as well. In terms of upgrades on the weapon, so I'm using the Umbral Blade, and that's just because I like these upgrades on it. The Formidable Counter, this is really important in various points, particularly that last battle, which most people struggle with the most against Odin. I find Odin quite easy because of my playstyle, and I spent a long time sort of studying him, so Formidable Counter is really useful. There's another fight as well against the Brine-born demon, I believe, where most of your, or a lot of the fight is counter based. So good. Formidable Counter is very helpful. Enhanced Physical Guard for when he's blocking. Limit Gauge Guard, which is very useful for increasing the charge rate by 10% upon successfully blocking. So my playstyle is generally to try to do perfect blocks, and it's quite kind of active in that way. And so this works nicely for that playstyle, but it also obviously goes very nicely together with the Gotterdammerung to increase that charge rate even further for the limit. And then defense plus 50, just an all-round bonus from there. So I've got healing with Magnify if you're in a pinch. That's useful to have. Most of the time, though, Cloud is not the healer. He has also got prayer for healing and chakra, which is, again, if he's in a pinch, then he can use chakra. Prayer I use it at several points. I mean, that is also good for building up pips towards their synergy abilities. Empowerment is very, very important, I'd say. Bravery, I use that in almost every fight. Revival is important. There's no avoiding needing to use it. And at various points, actually, re-raise could be useful. Although in the run that I've actually done, which I'm now using as the guide, I didn't need to use this. But I'd say it is pretty handy to have. But the issue is obviously it's very expensive. You can maybe get rid of one of these others. Like, for example, I hardly use chakra. It's just useful in a pinch. Or maybe you can get rid of precision defense in order to link re-raise up with something like magic efficiency, just to make it cost less. That is an option. But yeah, I didn't end up needing to use it in the last run. Steadfast block, I'd say, really, really handy, just because you get a significant ATB boost when guarding, and at various points, like against the Brine-born demon and Odin, that's just incredibly useful. So yeah, and precision defense, just because it makes it a lot easier to do those perfect blocks, which also build up stagger on the opponent if you get it just right. Yeah, so prayer and chakra I've already touched on. ATB boost, really useful, particularly for saving it for those critical moments when you want to quickly stagger an enemy. Where with Cloud, if he's got 2 ATB, you can get 3 focus thrusts out of that using ATB boost, which is really, really good. Magnify with time, pretty important, speeding them up. I find that to be very, very handy. Elemental with fire and ice on defense makes a couple of the fights, well, one in particular, much, much easier. But it's also just good for him to have this. I mean, you could try and figure the Phoenix fight out, and then you just don't need this. If you can figure out the Phoenix fight, then without needing fire and ice on defense, then perhaps you can replace this with something else. So yeah, that is the setup, and without further ado, I'll show you the actual fights. Right, so here we go, and it's actually quite kind of interesting because this is all less than optimal, so this is earliest as possible. and therefore, you know, it's not as good as if you had fully upgraded materia and everything. I forgot to mention that in the intro. So yeah, it's if you want to be even better prepared, fully upgrade all of your materia. But there you go. So in this fight, as you can see, starting out with Cloud, I've not used ATB boost. We're going to save that. It's a lot of just blocking at the right moments and then using counterfire for when he stamps on the ground. Don't ask me why counterfire works for that, but and being in Punisher mode doesn't. So with Cloud, I've basically thrown haste on both of them, and I've also put I've put bravery on both of them, and that's 3 pips for Cloud. And now with Zac, I'm just doing this the easy way, keeping my distance, and I'm going to use 3 meteor strikes. By the way, with Zac, because there's probably a lot that you don't know about how his mechanics work, and that might be worth doing a different video. I'm kind of assuming knowledge of the mechanics here, but I'm just using his meteor attack to build up those pips for him. And once they've both got 3 pips towards the synergy ability, then use it. And they take quite a bit of damage, but that's actually okay because there's plenty of chance to heal. Yeah, so with Zac, 2 attacks, swing, swing, and then special ability, which as you can see there, that's my keyboard number 9. But 2 attacks and then his unique ability button will very quickly build up his charge. And he goes up levels in his charge, kind of like Tifa's Chi, only she just used 1 ability, Unbridled Strength, to get her to Chi level 2, whereas Zac needs to use he charges up and his charge goes down. So you can see here, by the way, just quickly to interject, I used ATB boost to get 3 focus strikes out of focus thrusts for Cloud, and then just as Titan was about to be staggered, I tag teamed to Zac, so he's in the air, where he basically staggered Titan and gets a whole bunch towards his limit break. And you can see there, I was able, doing this trick of swing, swing, unique ability, it builds up his charge in the bottom left, and then you can use this ability called High Braver, which does a lot of damage. So I did that with Zac whilst he was staggered, and then obviously with Cloud I used his limit break. So yeah, that's the first phase of the fight. Then Titan gets back up. When he gets back up, there is a chance that he might do his ultimate attack, Earth and Fury. Now, if he does go down that route, it's recommended to just make sure that they're either high health, because even without any particular defense, they can, in theory, tank that attack, but it is good to try to get Mana Ward on one of them, or Protect or Shell. Or if you're really nervous, get Re-Raise on one of them. And again there, I just tag teamed over to Zac at the last second, so that when Titan gets staggered, he'll be able to get his full limit break, which he's now got available. Cloud's going to do Infinity's End with his 2 available ATB, and that'll basically be the end of Titan. So Titan is definitely one of the easier ones. This method I found works quite nicely for me in that order that I've just presented. / unique ability for Zac. That's important to remember. It's tricky. You just need to practice. It's a shame there aren't any practice dummies here. But yeah, / unique, build up charge, then use High Braver, which is only available at charge level 3. So we're on to the Hoyakotl, I don't know, or Huakotl, I don't know how to pronounce it. And he'll generally target whoever you're controlling, and that predictability makes it quite nice to tag team between Zac and Cloud. So it's not clockwork, it doesn't always work like that, but tag team, by the way, which is to block and then switch, will zip whoever you're switching to the target, like I just did just there, and put them in the air. Now this guy will eventually go into his supercharged state and put these electric bolts all over the ground. If you get hit twice by an electric bolt, it stuns you, and then he does a move called, the Hoyakotl does a move called Thunderbolt, which can pretty much just wipe you out. So you want to avoid getting hit twice. What I'm going to do here, so I'm building up 3 pips because I want them to use their synergy ability so that Cloud will have a level 2 limit break available. And again, I'm using meteor shots, which by the way builds a little bit of pressure, but every time we hit the Hoyakotl, you can see the lightning appearing on the ground. So it's actually fairly good to be in the air. Being in the air builds up, and again I've used haste and bravery on both of them. You may have noticed it's important. Being in the air, especially for Zac, builds up ATB very quickly. But also in this fight, when the Hoyokotl is in a supercharged state, being in the air makes you less likely to get hit by the lightning bolts. Or at least what's good to do is to just zip around a little bit. Do a couple of attacks and then zip to the left or to the right, and that will be good enough to avoid getting hit twice by lightning, which is what you really want to avoid. And now I've got enough to use their synergy ability, and so I'm using that, Soldier's Honor, and that will give Cloud his second level limit break, but it also gives Zack infinite MP. So just an interesting one there. Usually unique abilities, synergy abilities, don't do that. But in this case, they're giving two different benefits to Cloud and to Zack, respectively, which is interesting. What I'm doing with Cloud, whilst the Hoyokotl is in a supercharged state, he's always pressured. And so it's just about timing when to use those focus thrusts. And again, trying to avoid getting hit twice by lightning. And when you can, using ATB boost to get that extra focus thrust in, and then I'm actually doing the staggering with Zack as I did just there, just to get Zack's limit up. And now I'm doing the trick, //unique, //unique. After doing the unique, you need to block. I forgot to mention that before. Otherwise it resets his attack chain. Well, that resets the attack chain, which you want. Otherwise he continues his attack chain and you can't quickly build up that charge. It's hard to explain. //unique, then block, repeat is how to do it with Zack. So yeah, I'm mainly now wanting to use his high braver attack to kind of finish the Hoyokotl off, because as you can see, it just does a tremendous amount of damage. And so that's where we are now. You can do it in the air, attack, unique, and then block, but obviously when you block it'll land you back down on the ground again. And you can also just charge by standing still. But it actually takes longer than this trick here where you // and then unique. Now I've decided to just go for, I mean I know he's not staggered, but his health is low enough that actually we're okay to try and finish him off just with the limit break. So there you go, that's the Hoyokotl. Pretty annoying fight, and that's where you may think, oh, can't we have lightning on defense? But no, it's actually better to have fire on defense. You can't have both, but it's better because of this fight, which is actually a lot harder if you don't have fire on defense. But pretty much with fire on defense, I mean, again, we're not in an optimized situation, so we're not going to absorb the fire damage from Phoenix, but we are going to just be immune to it as far as Cloud is concerned. So Cloud can just solo this fight. Now the Flan just appeared, and I used Zack's first ATB to just use fire, normal fire, against the Flan, which defeats the Flan, which is quite nice. And now we're in the same old pattern of just using putting bravery on them both and putting haste on them both, and now Cloud has got 3 pips towards his synergy ability. I tried to dodge there with Zack but was unable to, so now we zip over to Zack a little bit because we're trying to get to the point where he can use some ATB as well. Now when the bomb appears, just go into the air and attack with Cloud. Cloud's going to be immune to pretty much everything other than blazing onrush from Phoenix. When the bomb is pressured like this, zip over to Zack and just get Zack to stagger it so that Zack builds up some limit on his gauge there. And then now again we're trying to build up those pips, which is harder with Zack because you've got to make sure he doesn't get hit. And the third creature to appear is the Groundhorn. Go into the air and attack until he blocks, and then just use Aerial Onslaught or Braver from the air, something like that, which will pressure him. Again, you want to try to stagger with Zack if you can, because then Zack, after staggering 3, will have his limit break. And after 3 have been defeated, Phoenix will be pressured. And again, remember that good old handy ATB boost. I'm getting Zack now to use his third meteor shots, his third ability, which adds some pressure, as you can see just there. and we're going to actually stagger him with Soldier's Honor. You don't have to do it this way. You can instead, because it's pretty hard to get 3 little pips towards their synergy ability in time, and so if you don't have that, you can simply stagger him and then use cross slash. That's completely fine. Cross slash and Zack's limit break is actually also pretty good. But in this particular run through, I've managed to get Rush Assault, I think is Zack's one, and Ascension with Cloud, which as you can see has done a phenomenal amount of damage. But after he's less than half health, what he'll do is Rebirth Flame, which he's doing now. Pretty much you just say goodbye to Zack. Like Zack is not going to survive that. So I get Zack to just put haste on Cloud if possible. Unfortunately, he was a bit too slow in this particular run through, but that doesn't matter too much. It's just useful to have Cloud hastened up for this part. Zack goes down, but that's fine because Cloud can actually solo this. Start with the Fleetwing, go into the air, watch out for that brute not hitting you with his club. Stagger the Fleetwing, and next up target the Archdragon. Again, you're doing this all in the air. Don't worry at all about those orbs that appear, you can ignore them. Again, don't get hit by that club. The Archdragon does a number of attacks, but most of them are fire-based. And if you're in its face like this, it seems to slow it down, like it often does with the AI doesn't quite know who to target. Then just finish it off with an aerial onslaught. Again, go in the air, and now with the Ogre, just attack away. A lot of its attacks, like this one, just hit the ground, so nothing at all for you to worry about. Rending Talons, by the way, doesn't hurt Cloud now, so you can just not worry about it. And when the Ogre swings at you with his club, just dodge away and then come back like you saw me do just then. Aerial Onslaught will finish him off. But this time, destroying the 3 creatures does not pressure Phoenix automatically. So what we're going to wait is for Phoenix to do a certain move called, I think it's called Empowering Flame. I could be wrong, I feel like that might not be correct. And now we do want to resurrect Zack, bearing in mind that each round we get 50% of our health back and we get 30% of our MP back each round. So we do want Zack to be alive for the next round, hence resurrecting him now. This is where it would be good for Cloud to have haste, because he can very quickly build up ATB and then also keep Zack alive. And this is where we're just using Prey, because I don't want to use too much MP, so we're just using Prey mainly. Empowering Flame, there you go. I think that goes right. So that's what it's called. We don't have a limit available. Oh, sorry, we do. So we're just immediately using Cloud's limit, and with how little health it had, that was going to be the end of it. You can also try and use High Braver to interrupt Empowering Flame if you don't have a limit, but you should have a limit if you're following this guide. So that's that, and now we're on to the Brineborn Demon. Very physical fight. This is where it's good to have those counter attacks, and it's about learning the rhythms and timing and try to not get hit like I just did 3 times there. Very, very difficult to not get hit, and I'm doing it quite badly in this particular fight, but yeah, there you go. I'm now managing to get it right. You want to ideally perfectly block, because when you perfectly block, and I'm doing a terrible job, but it's okay, this is why we got Chakra, but when you perfectly block, you do a powerful counterattack. You can see how much of his health is going down, the Brineborn Demon, when you perfectly block and Cloud does that attack. And that's kind of what we're banking on a little bit. Now, meanwhile, it is difficult, but we are also trying to get their pips up to have 3 pips towards their synergy ability. That's difficult with Zack, but much easier with Cloud, because he's taking a lot more of the damage. Now, eventually, when you have done enough damage to the Brineborn Demon, he will go into this defensive mode, dodge roll, throw an attack, and then he will counter, and you can use counter fire to counter his counter. Then what he does is he now targets Zack with a spell, which I've just blocked perfectly there. Back to Cloud, block, counter fire, switch over to Zack. Meanwhile, Zack, I'm still trying to get him to get 3 pips towards synergy abilities. He only needs 2, actually. There we go. He does counter shot. You do counter fire back in his face. I'm doing this at range. There's a version of it up close, but it's much harder to control. And there you go. Now they have 3 pips, each of them. You don't need 3 with Zac, you just need 2. Now he does Voltaic Storm. When he does Voltaic Storm, Focus Thrust, ATB boost, Focus Thrust, and then get Zac in close to try and do the actual stagger. I didn't succeed this time, but it doesn't really matter. Now we're just using ordinary Cross Slash with Cloud, and then with Zac we're doing the trick to get him up to level 3 charge and use High Braver, which you've got to learn how to do High Braver. Maybe try and learn that separately. And now we're going to use Soldier's Honor. As you can see, the Blindborn Demon has hardly any health left. But yeah, that part when he's in, I think it's called Counter Stance that he's in. Yeah, dodge roll and shoot an attack at him at distance with Cloud. He'll then go into defensive mode. Do it again with Cloud, and he'll counter shot. You counter fire his counter shot. There you go. So now we're on to the one that I hate the most. Kujata. He's harder than Odin. He's harder than Bahamut. He's harder than everything else. I don't know why I find Kujata really difficult. I think it's because I'm very stingy with using MP. There's just no avoiding having to use a whole ton of MP in this fight. So to start with, what I'm doing is very, very simple. With Cloud, I put Bravery on one of them. I hastened them up. That's what I did. Now I'm just going to use Pray, try and block when you can. Get away from him when he's doing Ferocious Lion. Or Thunderous Stomp, just get out of the way of those. So now, Prayer, and Cloud has got 3 pips towards synergy abilities. And now what I'm going to do is build Cloud's ATB up to 2. And Cloud is now quote-unquote ready. Now we're going to zip over to Zac. And Zac, I think, just does Bravery on Cloud. And now Zac is basically ready as well. Get Zac up to 2 ATB, and then what happens, hopefully you've done this in time, he runs into one of these crystals and gets an elemental affinity. You both want to have full ATB with Bravery on Cloud and Haste on both of them. That's the goal. Now, use a spell that he's weak to. I recommend Fire or Aurora. Avoid Blizzaga, because Blizzaga is much less likely to hit. Now, once you've used 2 ATB with Zac, use their synergy ability, Soldier's Honor, to get right up in his face. And now he's very close to being pressured, because once you've done 3 of the spell that he's weak to, he will become pressured. So Fire, there you go, that's the 3rd one. Now he's pressured, and this is where Cloud does his Focus Thrust, ATB boost, Focus Thrust, and then tag team to Zac. It's good to have Zac in the air. Zac in the air builds up ATB very quickly. Now Zac staggers Kujata, gets some ATB, and Cloud's going to do Ascension on Kujata. I'm also now doing this trick with Zac, where I get him to charge level 3 and then High Braver. And there we go. We've done a nice chunk of damage to Kujata. And we're back to where we were at the beginning of the fight. He's going to eventually run into crystals. Now the critical thing is when he runs into crystals, I haven't figured out the order. Perhaps you can look up another guide. This is the one I'm weakest on. But he might just straight away use Try Disaster. I've had that before. He just, after running into crystals a 2nd time, he just uses Try Disaster straight away, which wipes you out. So with Zac, I've got him ready there with 1 ATB. Have 1 ATB available. And what I'm trying to do is get him up to level 3 so that he can use High Braver, because High Braver will stop him from being able to run into Crystal. But I wasn't able to, so instead straight away I put Mana Wall on Zac, and now is when sometimes he'll just straight away... Sorry, I put Mana Wall on Zac, but now is when sometimes he'll just straight away do Try Disaster. This time, don't ask me why he didn't. I think it's RNG, or maybe I've just got that wrong. But if he doesn't do Try Disaster, you're back to what you were doing before. Now we're going to do Aurora, and we're going to do that 3 times because that's what he's weak to. And again, it will require getting Zac Well, actually, yeah. So with Cloud, you want a bit more ATB, but I've got Zac in the air while Kujata's doing Fiery Fallout, just because Zac won't get hit by Fiery Fallout. Flaming Thrash we don't need to worry about with Cloud because he's immune to fire. Zac's going to do the third Aurora. There you go. That's pressured him. Cloud, Focus Thrust ATB boost, then 2 Focus Thrusts, and as you can see, Kujata is nearly once again staggered, and we just so happen to be able to do yet another Soldier's Honor, which means now that Cloud is going to have his level 3 limit break, which is fantastic. So we are doing well in this fight, but I just don't like this fight. There's something about it. I don't quite know what it is. Anyway, zip over to Zac. Zac does the actual staggering. Unfortunately, didn't quite get enough for a limit break. And so that means really the only thing that I've got this time to do damage is High Braver from Zac, which I think does even more, by the way, than Infinity's End. I could be wrong, but if you get them all to hit whilst Kujata is staggered, which I didn't quite manage this time, it does an incredible amount of damage. Okay, so now what I should have done, and I didn't, but I should have just gotten Cloud to immediately summon Phoenix. Phoenix is available, so I forgot to mention that in the setup. Phoenix is available for Cloud. So summon Phoenix and then straight away just get re-raise on them. But as you can see now, he's calling up a crystal again. This time I was able to use High Braver to stop him running into the crystal, which is fantastic. So that is a trick that you can use if you want to, but you're just not always going to be able to get that off in time. If I had summoned Phoenix by now, I would probably be able to use re-raise, like get Cloud or Zac to do re-raise. But I haven't. I don't think I did. What I did instead with Cloud was I just used an inordinate amount of MP for him to cast re-raise on himself, rather than using Phoenix, which costs 2 ATB but no MP, and it's the MP that really suffers in this battle. So there you go, now it's time for Try Disaster. Zac is on high health, which is really good. If we needed to, this would be the time to heal, but there is very, very little time, which is why you want to do most of the preparation before he runs into that second crystal. It's really, really difficult to get it perfectly done. But we are just about, I think I'm going to try here a mana wall. I can't quite remember now. No, I don't have the guts. I think that means I'm just going to I think Zac's got mana wall on him and Cloud's got re-raise. So that's kind of what you want. You know, like after you've done the synergy ability attack, Zac's got infinite MP. He can just use that to cast mana wall. As it is, Zac goes down and we're going to have to spend even more. So I really should have put the re-raise on Zac, not on Cloud. Because Zac was more likely to fall. But that's okay. Because Cloud's got 2 of the elements on his defense, he's actually very well prepared already for Try Disaster. So there you go. We're now back to the beginning of the fight, but with Kujata on such low health, we're going to be fine. So a lot of it is just making sure that you stagger him whilst he's vulnerable to a certain elemental attack. Stagger him using Zac with magic and then Cloud focus thrust, and then maxing out on damage obviously whilst he's staggered, but then also preparing for Try Disaster, which may happen the second time he runs into the crystals, or it may happen the third time he runs into the crystals. I haven't figured that out yet, but make sure that you're ready either way and you should be completely fine. Now here I'm just unwilling to use more MP because we're so low as it is anyway, and I keep getting hit with Zac because I'm not paying proper attention. But you know, I think it's probably, I can probably finish this off now just using a limit. I can't quite remember what I decided to do. Oh, I decided to use magic after all. Yeah, because Zac actually has quite a lot of MP, which is fantastic. So yeah, just going to try and stagger him as usual, dodge out of the way of Voltaic Charge. Get him in the air. Look how much ATB he builds up by just going into the air. It's pretty impressive. That'll do the trick, and now with Cloud I'm just building up that ATB. Focus thrust, ATB boost, focus thrust. And now Cloud staggers him with the Gotterdamerung. He builds up limit very, very quickly. finishing touch and rush assault. That's going to finish this fight. So, my least favorite of the lot. I find, like I say, I find Kujata tougher than Neo Bahamut, it's Bahamut Arisen and Odin combined. So yeah, I'm sure there's a better way of doing it, but this is the best way that I have found to handle that. And then this is a recovery fight. It is pretty tough, but I mean, you can beat this whole thing without using any MP, so then you just kind of get MP back at the end of it. Obviously I didn't start very well there. It's just kind of mainly really just physical. Does a lot of physical attacks. He does do Fire Aga and he does do Gravija, which can be quite annoying. But yeah, Fire Aga don't worry too much. And the kind of rule that I'm using here is to just kind of be in Punisher mode most of the time. Try and perfect block his big swings if you can. I think Great Sword, where he does 3 attacks on the ground, sometimes it'll hit you all 3 times. If you perfectly block it each time, you get a tremendous amount of I think limit and ATB as well. And the rule is generally use prayer. Oops, I didn't time that very well. Use condemned, just get behind him. That's all you want to do. So the general, and I'm getting hit by him swinging around. Condemned, get behind him. So the general rule is build up 2 ATB with Cloud, and I used a Cure Wrath there, which I sort of loathe to have to use. Normally, yeah, I managed to do this without having a care in the world, but I think I'm a bit frustrated with the Kujata fight that I just had. But yeah, so the rule is 2 ATB, use prayer to heal if you need to avoid having to spend MP. If you don't need to, save it for when he does sharpen. When he does sharpen, immediately after that, he'll be pressured, and then you'll use your ATB to stagger him. It takes a long time to stagger him, but once he is staggered, it's a long stagger. So there you go. So now I don't need to heal them with prayer, just focus thrust, and then if you need to, or if you've got it, ATB boost. But watch out, you want to time it so that you're not using ATB boost whilst he's in the middle of attacking. So again, this time we're going to get him very close. Condemned, get behind him. There's another one, something like Thessalonian Blade. Again, get behind him for that, and away, because that does an orb of damage around him. So yeah, I managed to get Zack hit in the air because the guy was so close to being staggered, but even very close to being staggered, it can take an inordinate amount of time with normal attacks to actually stagger him. So yeah, Zack did get hit, but that's fine. We'll just do a bunch of damage now, and then just heal up. Does mean using MP, but it's not the end of the world. Really, I think here I should have actually done Infinity's End, but I did Pray instead. It's a safe option, I suppose. And they've got enough now for Soldier's Honor. This is quite a relaxing fight, actually. It's a bit annoying when he uses Gravija. But other than that, this is quite a relaxing fight. I say relaxing, but also very, very time consuming. Okay, Condemned, get behind him. I mean, with infinite MP, I'm wanting to do something, so I'm just giving Zack Mana Wall, because he's the one more damage to get, more likely to get damage. Just using Focus Thrust whenever I can, get behind him for Condemned. Focus Thrust again. Him swinging around is tough to kind of watch for. Thanatosia. That's what it is. It's the same as Condemned, but it also puts an orb around him that will damage you for 9999 damage. Pretty much with the Condemned and then whatever it is, Blade. If you get hit, you die. Oh, and Crush, yeah, just dodge out of the way. Usually dodge towards his sword hand. There's nothing else really to say about this fight. It's fairly straightforward until the end. Just very time consuming. So I think we'll check if we got ATB boost again. Doesn't seem like I do. Okay, so he's using Gravija. A bit annoying. Nothing that Cloud can't handle though. This is why it is kind of nice to just have Chakra in a pinch. And just use that. Now we'll want to use Prayer. Thanatosian, that's it. Thanatosian Blade. Stay away from that big orb. So yeah, we're going to want to heal him now. For sure. I had a bit of a debate now. It's a bit close to the wire. And I'm just debating using Cura. And I decide, hey, let's just YOLO it and use Prayer instead, which was the right call, I think. There was another call. I got on the ground just in time so that Firaga didn't do too much damage. It's sad that Zac just didn't have enough for a limit break. But that is quite okay. We'll just use his little trick instead and probably won't even need it, to be honest. Bang, there you go. So that's the... I keep calling the Iron Giant. That's what he was called. That's what he's called in other Final Fantasies. But the Ironclad. Defeated. And now we get on to the fun ones. The ones which become easier. I did find Alexander tough at first, but there's a pattern that works quite nicely. I wish I could have found one for Kujata. But yeah, so I used Zac there to put Bravery on Cloud. Cloud to use Haste on both of them. It's pretty important to get that there straight off the bat. Radiant Wave, like a lot of Alexander's attacks, you can just go into the air. You won't get hit by them. Yeah, Bravery is now put on both of them. Get out of the way of Sweep. So the goal here is to have those 3 pips ready. Earth Tremor. We're not just going wild destroying the arms. There is a rule, a pattern that we need to follow. Just a little cure. The main reason is to have an excuse there to have 3 pips now towards the synergy ability for Cloud. And now that that is available, we zip over to Zac. And the main goal with Zac is to also have those 3 pips available. But this time I'm going to show you the move that you haven't seen yet. I'm allowing those to come in and try and perfect block them with Zac because it gives a lot towards his limit break. But here we're using that trick to build up charge, and again just try and perfect block that to give him some more towards his limit. Now that he's got level 3 charge, I'm using Chain Slash, which is actually really powerful, isn't it? On charge level 3. So now that one arm is destroyed, the other arm is still available. You can just charge like this. Whirling Ray, the absolute worst thing that he can do often, well at this particular stage, is Whirling Ray. See, I'm about to try Chain Slash, but doesn't matter. You'll get interrupted by Whirling Ray because it's you know, you need to be in the air to not get affected by Whirling Ray. But hey, at least he's managing to block a little bit and get a bit more towards his limit break, which is good. And here I'm just going to charge up and then now use Chain Slash. Chain Slash doesn't use all of the charge. So charge is a little bit like the Vengeance gauge with red. Some moves actually use it up. But Chain, his Chain Attack 3 doesn't use up his charge, which is really, really handy. So he's now got loads of charge just as he's become pressured. So now, of course, we're going to focus thrust, try and get Zac to do the actual staggering, which I forgot to do this time around. But it's fine because, and the other thing I forgot, by the way, was to finish that left arm off with their synergy ability. So they haven't actually used their synergy ability. So this is not actually the perfect run, because I did forget to use the synergy ability so that Cloud could have here used Ascension. But actually, even with Cross Slash, this method is going to work absolutely fine. So now you see Zac was able to use High Braver straight away because his charge was high because he'd been using Chain Slash. And then he built charge up whilst Alexander was staggered. And now he's going to very quickly build it up again. But watch out, because Alexander gets very angry when he's only got one working arm left, and he's going to do 3 attacks in a row. And this is generally where he becomes a little bit of a nightmare and ends up putting all these things on the ground all over the place. Now don't forget, just before destroying that arm, we do want Cloud to have 3 ATB, and I forgot about that as well. And you could see just there I did High Braver in the air, so you don't actually need to be on the ground. And now both arms are destroyed and we've got an opportunity. Alexander is pressured and he does get staggered very quickly. Now when he's at about 1/4 health, a move comes out of nowhere that does a bunch of damage to you. We're going to get Zac in the air, and this time I remembered to stagger him with Zac. Yeah, and we haven't even used, you know, Soldier's Honor. But we're gonna be completely fine. So yeah, just now as Zac is finishing him off, just get a final prey in there. Try and remember to get their health above 50% just before moving on to the next fight. So not a perfect run with Alexander there, because I forgot twice. I think I forgot Cloud to have 2 ATB, and I forgot to use Soldier's Honor, but it was fine. So Mind Flayer, this is another nice relaxing one. So you see, after the disaster of Kujata, when it comes to having to use MP, you do get to regenerate it each round if you know what you're doing. And this is another example of just a nice kind of relaxing one. Block with Cloud. At the start, the Mind Flayer always does these physical attacks, which are easy to perfectly block if you know what you're doing. Build up, you know, it's haste and then bravery. You try and get bravery on both of them. Now Cloud has used, and look how much ATB Cloud gets. Astral, what's it? Apprehension. Just get away. Pretty easy to avoid. The AI likes to just stand in the middle of it. Don't know why. So Cloud, now I've got him. I used ATB boost just there to get him up to 2 ATB, just because I know I'm not going to need it in any other context here. So yeah, gonna enjoy now with Zac on level 3. I'm using his attack, chain attack, chain slash, that's it. Now using High Braver. So telekinesis, he'll throw these rocks out. Again, this is just not stuff that we're worried about. High Braver, but unfortunately we're just a bit too slow to stop him from using Psychotic Break. So he's going to use Psychotic Break, but that's fine. We've now got enough to use Soldier's Honor, which will pressure him. So that's how the Mind Flayer gets pressured. Gets pressured by you using synergy abilities. And with Cloud with 2 ATB, which to be honest I don't even need, this is going to be a piece of cake. In fact, I don't even use Focus Thrust. I think I'm just kind of having fun. Then Ascension, and then I'm doing the trick with Zac to build up his charge. Attack, attack, unique, block, repeat, and then High Braver, and that will do the trick. So there you go, Mind Flayer. He has been mind flayed. Right. Bahamut, the one that people find difficult. So, on this one, go straight in Punisher mode straight away. You're guaranteed to get a few hits in there. Thrust to spin, you can use counterfire. I did not know this for a long time. Saves a lot of hassle. Now, you see these pink orbs? This is the same, by the way, my normal guide. Oh, I went into counterfire too soon just then. But my other guide, you basically, it tells you how to defeat him. But yeah, with Zack, you may not have seen it just there. He's got a charge that he does where it shoots Cloud into the air, and that will pressure Bahamut if you've run into one of these pink orbs on the ground. So that's why I'm deliberately running into the pink orb, because then every time you use this ability, defensive dash, it puts Cloud in the air, which is a bit awkward, but it's fine. Just use Punisher mode to bring Cloud to the ground in Punisher mode. So use the unique ability button, and then it's just a case of whenever you can, pressure him, run into one of those pink orbs, then use defensive dash to pressure him, or counter shot if appropriate. And yeah, this one where he's got the two blades for arms, it's when he does the most damage. So you can see that pink orb there. Definitely going to want to go into that. Whirlwind Slash with Cloud you can perfectly block from Punish mode. So generally the pattern is get Cloud to get 2 ATB on him and then zip over to Zack. Not doing that now because I want to pray for extra health. And you could see just there I had a chance to use... Oh, and I thought, yeah, it's sometimes hard to remember, am I in Punisher mode or not? So I got that wrong and took a full beating as a result. But again, there you can see, you know, us getting hit by those, or running into those pink orbs. Gives us a chance to pressurize him, and it means that we can stagger him quite quickly. So starting with cross slash is completely fine, and then here I couldn't see Zack, which was annoying, so it's harder to do the trick. But normally I'd be able to do a high braver as well. So we're a bit unlucky, and I couldn't dodge roll out. He's completely trapped underneath Bahamut there. But we'll still get to do a high braver just after the actual stagger. And we've done a fair bit of damage to him. So it's looking pretty good. Zack is very fast, can dodge out of the way of Crush Grip. Although to be honest with you, it's kind of okay to just let him get hit by Cross Grip, because it gives Cloud time and it doesn't do much damage in the end. I forgot to use counterfire there. Use a quick chakra. Defensive dash, then with Cloud down to the ground with the unique ability. And again, you're trying to focus thrust whenever you can, whenever he is pressured. Homing Barrage is probably not good to use counterfire, because it will protect Cloud, but it will not protect Zack. So yeah, when he's doing that particular move, don't use counterfire. Yeah, having to Cloud there saying sorry. And doing a little cure. And there we go, defensive dash does the trick. Grim Upheaval, just dodge roll behind him. Okay, I was just looking around to see there if there are any pink orbs, and there were not. So as per the pattern, we get Cloud up to 2 ATB, and then we go over to Zack. And I'm not using Soldier's Honor just yet, because it'd be preferable to use that when there's one of those pink orbs like there is just there. So a lot of his attacks, by the way, put those pink orbs on the ground. So again, defensive dash, a nice whole lot of ATB for Cloud. And I think I just let him get hit. Oh no, of course, now I'm going to use Soldier's Honor. Because we know that that's going to stagger him. So yeah, we're doing well. I mean, Zack is now going to have infinite MP. But he's also the one with the limit break. So I'm trying to decide what to use him for, but I've decided to use him to just put Braver on himself before doing Rush Assault, and then just build up the ATB again with Cloud. It would be good to have them hastened up. There you go. I thought I got them re-hastened at some point. And with the infinite MP, why not just fully heal them? Which is quite nice. Cloud's now got the MP, I mean the ATB. Go back over to Zac. And Bahamut Arisen is once again in his form that we least enjoy. And with Cloud I ran into one of those orbs. Dodge roll behind. I didn't quite get there in time. Poor Zac's taking a beating. Nothing he can't handle though, because he's still got infinite MP, so he'll just cure himself. Oh yeah, and Bahamut Arisen just did 2 soaring slashes there instead of 1, which I wasn't quite expecting. Counterfire pressures him, and now he's targeting Zac. ATB boost. Don't forget ATB boost, pretty important. Giga Drive mode. So we're getting close now to where he'll use his ultimate, but it's fine. As long as we keep staggering him at every opportunity, it should be completely fine. Twin lasers, I just let the AI handle that. Go over to Zac and get him to use High Braver. Why not? Because it does a nice lot of damage and it interrupts him. Absolutely lovely. May as well cure. Cloud, we need very little MP, by the way, for the next fight. Getting caught by Crush Grip is really not an issue. Because look now, it doesn't do much damage. And we pretty much have the guy staggered. And there's a nice pink orb as well that was on the ground for where he dropped Zac. So yeah, Zac in the air will stagger him now, and yeah, Cloud to use Ascension. We're basically home free. Use a trick to get a High Braver off, try and get it just in time. I actually had it available there, but I was a bit too slow. Soldier's Honor, and hope he just doesn't do some insane attack as they're starting, but there you go. That will be the end of Bahamut Arisen. So, I find that fairly easy just because once you know the mechanic of staggering him, it's just a case of doing that. And yeah, get Cloud with 2 ATB, switch over to Zac. That's the general rule. Now, Odin, just watch the other guide that I've done with Tifa. And then it's just lather, rinse, repeat. It's in fact much easier because with Tifa that was solo. But yeah, so the idea is with Cloud, Punisher mode, Sleipnir's Fury is what he does when you've done enough damage. But then he becomes much quicker, so watch out. Helm Cleaver and some other attacks will prevent you from being able to do your normal command attacks against him because he'll just interrupt you with a move called Reprisal, which isn't very nice. But yeah, so you want to just block and counter with Cloud. If you do that well enough, then he will not do Zantetsuken. He'll be impressed with you, and when he's impressed with you, it means that yeah, he's gonna not kill you with Zantetsuken. Instead, he does Sleipnir's Fury, which you just saw just now, which makes him a lot quicker and harder to dodge and harder to block, but it also means that he's pressured. So in those little gaps, you can just use Focus Thrust to stagger him. And when he's about a quarter of his health down, he'll move into the next phase, Lord of the Blade, which basically comes with just different moves. It is a little bit a case of learning his moves and learning how to block. So I'd recommend just practicing in the normal simulator for this. Shimmering Blade, just get out of the way. Don't allow yourself to be hit like the AI, just allow itself to get hit, because then he does a whole bunch of follow-up moves. Full Moon Assault is a charged attack where you can see that purple sort of glow. You don't want to get hit, dodge out of the way. It's not the end of the world if you do get hit, by the way, especially with Cloud. Try and perfect block where you can, just like I did just there. Swift Punishment, horse leaps onto Zac, I'm going to want to perfectly block that because it's very easy to see it coming. Sleipnir's Fury. Good news, we've been doing enough damage. He's impressed with us, therefore he goes into this mode. Illusionary Blade, you see the charge on his sword, dodge out of the way of that. Tyrannical Onslaught, that's fine, just block as normal. Try and perfect block to increase stagger. Now we don't actually have a limit available, but we can do Infinity's End and then the trick with Zac. Meanwhile, by putting Bravery and Haste and various other things, I've already managed to use, as you saw, I think, the Synergy ability. Now High Braver does a nice wad of damage to him. When he's below half health, he's going to do a move that splits the field in two, which you'll see. I forget the name of it. No, it's not Temporal Confinement. That's later on. Spatial Distortion. And you just need to be on the right side of that. And as you can see, the AI has managed to get Zac caught on the wrong side, which just means Zac is going to take a lot of damage. But that's okay. Full Moon Assault, get out of the way because his sword is charged. Very simple. If you see purple, get out of the way. Or Shimmering Blade, get out of the way. Punisher mode, and then Tyrannical Onslaught, just block 1, 2, and then a third one, which I didn't block in fact. Illusionary Blade, it's charged, get out of the way. Shimmering Blade, get out of the way. Yeah. Normal attack here, just block and counter, and it's time to use Prey to heal them up. Now he moves into his final phase, Lord of the Battlefield. Now you need to switch to Zac when he's close to 1/4 health. Now, Lord of the Battlefield comes with the same moves you've seen so far, but just with an extra added attack. Charging Steed is wonderful. If you just block in the right moments, you can get 4 perfect blocks. This all just takes practice. It's best to practice in the arena. Separately, get Zac to do the actual staggering. And now we've got 2 limit breaks, and Odin's not going to survive. Now he is at about 1/4 health. What you do need to do if he gets to 1/4 health or close there to 1/4 health is switch over to Zac, because he does a move called Temporal Confinement. Oh, in fact we didn't actually finish him off. So I zipped over to Zac, and Zac knows he's about to be completely disabled. So he's just going to bless Cloud with a mana wall. Now Zac is stopped completely, and there's no way to avoid that other than if Zac was to do a limit break. So it's just Cloud, but Cloud can take this guy on solo. Ruthless Conquest is charged, but I was too close and too slow, so Cloud did get hit. You can see those rings around Cloud's arms now means that he can't do ability attacks against Odin without triggering a counter, but it didn't matter. So there you have it. Hope you found that helpful.